The morning sun rose over the hills of New Korea. Colonel Park stood on his porch and watched the lights spread across his small farm. At 68 years old, his hair was white and his face lined, but his back was straight and his eyes were sharp. Park had been a soldier for 40 years before he came to this colony world. He had fought in wars on Earth and led special forces teams on 3 planets. Now he grew vegetables and practiced his martial arts in peace. Every morning, Park did the same things. He woke before the sun. He did his exercises. He tended his garden. Today was no different. He moved through his training forms with slow, careful steps. His body was old, but still strong, still dangerous. His hands, rough from work, moved through the air with perfect control. "Colonel Park." "Good morning," called a voice. Park turned to see Lee walking up the dirt path to his house. Lee was young, maybe 30, with a friendly smile. He worked for the colony's security team. Years ago, Park had taught him how to fight. "You're up early," Park said, nodding to his former student. "Early shift today," Lee said. "But I wanted to ask you about something first." Park pointed to the wooden bench on his porch. They sat down, and Lee pulled out a small screen. "Have you seen the news?" Lee asked. "Strange signals near our system. The governor thinks it might be aliens." Park looked at the screen. It showed dots of light moving in patterns that were not natural. "What do you think?" Lee asked. "I think," Park said slowly, "that we should be careful." Lee laughed. "The scientists say they're probably friendly. New trading partners, maybe." Park shook his head. "In all my years, I've learned one thing. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst." Lee's smile faded. "You really think they could be dangerous?" Park stood up and walked to the edge of his porch. In the distance, he could see the colony town with its neat buildings and busy streets. 3,000 people lived there now. Good people, peaceful people. "The universe is a big place," Park said, "and not everything out there is kind." Lee looked worried now. "But our security team only has basic weapons. If they're advanced enough for space travel, then you need to be smarter," Park said, "not just stronger." Park went inside his small house and came back with an old book. It was made of real paper, yellow with age. "Read this," he said, handing it to Lee. "It's about Earth wars from long ago, when small forces beat big ones by using their brains." Lee took the book carefully. "Thank you, Colonel. I should go now. My shift starts soon." After Lee left, Park went back to his garden. As he pulled weeds from around his vegetables, he thought about the news. Strange lights in the sky. Unknown visitors coming closer. That night, while others in the colony talked excitedly about meeting aliens, Park went to a locked chest under his bed. Inside were things from his soldier days. A knife with a black blade. A small gun that still worked. Maps of the land around the colony. Emergency supplies. Park didn't know what was coming, but something in his gut, something from years of fighting and surviving, told him to be ready. He stood at his window and looked up at the stars. They seemed colder tonight, more distant. "Come if you must," he whispered to the empty sky. "But know this, we are not easy prey." Then he closed his window, checked his doors, and went to sleep like a soldier, light and ready to wake at the smallest sound. Tomorrow he would start preparing, just in case. The old wolf still had teeth. 3 days later, they came. The alien ships appeared in the morning sky like giant metal fish. They hung over the colony, blocking the sun. 5 of them, each bigger than the colony's largest building. Colony alarms rang out. People stopped their work and looked up. Some ran home. Others stood frozen in place, eyes wide. Governor Kim called an emergency meeting. "We must show them we are peaceful," she said to her advisors. "This is a historic day for humanity." Security Chief Han nodded. "We will greet them with open arms, but my team will stand ready." Colonel Park was not invited to this meeting. He watched from a hill outside town as a smaller ship broke away from the others and came down to land in the colony's central square. Park had his old military binoculars. Through them, he saw the ship's door open. 3 tall figures stepped out. The aliens stood nearly 7 feet tall. They had pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Their bodies were thin but looked strong, like runners. Their heads were hairless with large, dark eyes that reminded Park of a cat's eyes. They wore what looked like armor, though it was like no armor Park had ever seen. Governor Kim walked forward to greet them. She extended her hand in the Earth custom. The lead alien did not take it. Instead, it made a motion with its long fingers, and one of the others held up a device. A voice came from the device, speaking perfect Korean. "We are the Talons. We come in peace to learn of your kind." Park watched the meeting through his binoculars. Something felt wrong. The way the aliens moved was too smooth, too careful, like hunters trying not to startle their prey. He had seen that before on jungle planets where the local predators would appear friendly until the moment they attacked. Later that day, Park went into town. Lee found him at the market. "Colonel, did you see them? Isn't it amazing?" Lee's eyes were bright with excitement. "I saw," Park said. "What do you think of them?" "They're so advanced. They've invited our leaders to a dinner tonight on their ship. They want to learn all about us." "All about us," Park repeated. "And what have they shared about themselves?" Lee's smile faded a little. "Well, not much yet, but they will. They said they've visited many worlds." Park nodded slowly. "I'm sure they have." He put a hand on Lee's shoulder. "Be careful tonight. Watch how they act, not just what they say." "You're still worried?" Lee asked. "But they're clearly peaceful. They could have attacked already if they wanted to." "Smart hunters don't rush," Park said quietly. "They study their prey first." That night, the colony's 20 most important people went to the alien ship for dinner. Park was not invited, but Lee was there as part of the security team. From his home, Park could see the lights of the ship glowing in the darkness. He cleaned his old gun and waited. Near midnight, his door opened. Lee stood there, his face pale. "You were right," Lee whispered. "They asked so many questions about our bodies, our history, how we fight, and the way they looked at us." He shuddered, like we were food or animals in a zoo. "What else?" Park asked. "They're scanning the whole colony. They say it's to understand us better. But I saw their weapons, Colonel. Hidden, but there. And they're bigger than anything we have." Park nodded. He had known this would come, had felt it in his old soldier's bones. "Go home," he told Lee. "Rest. Tomorrow, we prepare." As Lee left, Park looked up at the alien ships. Their lights now seemed cold and threatening. The hunt had begun. But this time, the prey was ready. They struck at dawn. Colonel Park was already awake when he heard the first screams. He looked out his window and saw strange lights flashing over the colony. The aliens moved through the streets, firing weapons that didn't kill, but made people fall to the ground, unable to move. Park grabbed his emergency bag and slipped out the back door of his house. He moved quickly into the woods behind his property. From there, he could see but not be seen. The Talons were fast and moved as one, like a pack of wolves. Their true faces showed now. Gone was the fake friendliness from yesterday. Now they were all teeth and claws and cold eyes. "Collection units, begin sorting." A voice boomed from the main ship. "Category A specimens to Ship 1. Category B to Ship 2. Damaged specimens to Ship 3 for processing." Park watched as they rounded up the colonists like cattle. Men, women, and children were scanned with hand devices and then separated into groups. Some tried to fight back, but their simple weapons did nothing against the aliens' armor. Security Chief Han led a small team that fired at the aliens, but strange shields around the Talons stopped the bullets. The aliens didn't even look worried. They fired back with their stun weapons, and Han's team dropped to the ground. Governor Kim tried to talk to them. We welcomed you. We offered friendship, she shouted. The lead Talon looked at her with cold eyes. And we accepted your offer, as we have on 100 worlds before. Your kind is interesting. Good specimens for our collection. Collection? Kim asked, her voice shaking. Some for study. Some for sport hunting. Some for other uses, the Talon said. Your bodies are sturdy but simple. Your minds are basic but show potential. You will serve the Talon Empire well. Park's hands tightened on his old rifle. He wanted to shoot, but he knew better. One old man with one old gun would do nothing against their technology. He needed a plan. He needed time. As he watched, he saw Lee fighting against 2 aliens. Lee was good. Park had trained him well. But the aliens were stronger and faster. One hit Lee hard across the head, and he fell. The alien raised a weapon to finish Lee, but another stopped him. No damage to potential breeders, it said. This one is young and strong. Category A. They dragged Lee's body toward the sorting area, but Park saw that Lee wasn't completely knocked out. He was pretending, his eyes just slightly open, looking for a chance. Smart boy, Park thought. For hours, Park watched as the aliens worked. They were thorough and careful. They set up force fields around the colony. They put tracking devices on every human. They searched houses for anyone hiding. But they didn't search far into the woods. Why would they? To them, humans were weak creatures who needed their technology in buildings. What human would run into the wild? As night fell, Park saw his chance. The aliens had set up bright lights around their ships, but this created deep shadows between the buildings. Moving like a ghost, just as he had in war zones decades ago, Park slipped into the colony. He stayed in shadows, under windows, behind trash bins. He made his way to where they kept the injured people, the ones the aliens called damaged specimens. Among them was Lee, his head bleeding but his eyes alert. When a guard turned away, Park whispered, "Be ready. 3 days." Lee's eyes widened at seeing his old teacher, but he gave a tiny nod. Park slipped away again, back to the dark woods. He had seen enough. He knew what they were facing now. The Talons were hunters, yes, but they had made a mistake. They thought they were hunting simple farm animals. They didn't realize they were hunting wolves in sheep's clothing. And this old wolf still remembered how to bite. For 3 days, Colonel Park lived in the forest like an animal. He drank from streams and ate berries and roots he knew were safe. At night, he crept close to the colony to watch the aliens. The Talons had a pattern. Park saw this quickly. They were creatures of habit. Guards changed at the same times. Patrols followed the same paths. They were smart, but they were also sure of themselves. Too sure. On the 3rd night, Park was ready. He had made simple traps from vines and sticks, just like the ones his grandfather had taught him to make for catching rabbits. But these were not for rabbits. He placed the traps along the path where a lone guard walked each night. Then he waited. When the alien came, Park threw a rock far to the left. The guard turned toward the sound. Its foot caught in the hidden loop. The trap pulled tight, and the alien fell hard. Before it could call for help, Park was on it. His old knife, the special one with the black blade that no metal detector could find, slid between the plates of the alien's armor. The Talon made a strange hissing sound, then went still. Park dragged the body into the bushes and took its weapon and communication device. Then he moved toward the holding area where Lee and the other damaged specimens were kept. The force field around this area was weaker than the others. The aliens thought injured humans were no threat. Another mistake. Park used the dead guard's hand to open the lock. Inside, 20 humans lay on simple beds. Some were truly hurt. Others, like Lee, had only minor wounds. Lee saw Park, and his eyes widened. He stood up quietly and came over. "You came back," Lee whispered. "I said 3 days," Park answered simply. He handed Lee the alien weapon. "Can you walk? Can you fight?" Lee nodded. 5 others here can help too. But where will we go? They have ships and scanners. Park smiled for the first time in days. They look up and out, not down and in. He pointed to a metal cover on the floor. Old mining tunnels run under the colony. From before we built the town. The aliens don't know about them. Lee understood at once. We can move without being seen. They woke the others who could move. Park showed them how to use the alien weapon. Then they opened the floor cover and slipped into the darkness below. The tunnels were cold and wet, but they were safe. Park led them through the maze of old passages until they reached a large cave 2 miles from the colony. "This will be our base," Park said. "From here, we fight back." "But how?" asked a woman named Sun. "There are only 7 of us, and hundreds of them. They have spaceships and energy weapons. And they think they've won," Park said. "That's our advantage. They won't expect us." Over the next week, their small group grew. Each night, Park or Lee would sneak back to the colony and free a few more people. They brought back food, medicine, and more weapons. They learned more about the aliens too. Dr. Choi, the colony scientist, told them what she had seen. "They're taking samples of everything," she said. "Blood, tissue, brain scans. And they're sorting us. The strongest adults are being kept separate. I think they plan to hunt them." "Like animals," Lee said, his face dark with anger. "Yes," Park said quietly, "like animals." He looked around at their growing group. 23 humans now, hiding in the dark. But we are not animals. We are hunters too. We have been since the dawn of time. He picked up an alien weapon. And now we hunt them. That night, they made their first strike against the Talons. It was small, but it was just the beginning. The prey was becoming the predator. 2 weeks after the aliens came, the resistance was ready to make a big move. "They keep the most important humans here," Park said, pointing to a map they had drawn of the colony. "This building used to be our school. Now it's where they study us." Lee looked at the marks Park had made. 4 guards outside, maybe more inside. 6 inside, said Jin, a woman who had escaped 3 days ago. "They have Dr. Choi working for them. She's helping them understand human bodies, but she has no choice." Park nodded. "We need Dr. Choi. She knows more about alien bodies than anyone else." Their plan was simple. Park had taught them an old Earth military idea called shock and awe. Hit hard and fast in many places. Make the enemy think you are everywhere at once. That night, as the 3 moons of New Korea rose in the sky, Park's team moved into position. Hoon and Sun went to the west side of the colony. They set fire to an empty building the aliens used for storage. When the guards ran to put out the fire, they set off small bombs in 2 other places. The aliens were confused. Their leaders sent guards running in all directions. Meanwhile, Park, Lee, and Jin slipped toward the school building. They wore dark clothes and moved like shadows between houses. When they reached the school, Park used a trick he had learned in the wars. He threw a small stone at one guard, hitting him in the head. When the guard turned to look, Park threw another stone from a different place. The confused guard called to his partner. Both moved away from the door to check the sounds. That was when Lee struck. He had been practicing with the alien weapon. He fired 2 quick shots, and both guards fell without a sound. Inside the building, Dr. Choi was working late. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. When she saw Park at the door of her lab, she almost cried. "Colonel, you're alive." "No time," Park said. "We need you, and we need anything you can tell us about them." Dr. Choi nodded. She grabbed a small device from her desk. "I've been studying them too. Their bodies are strong but have weak points. Here," she pointed to a spot on a diagram, under the arm. "And here, at the base of the skull. Hit them there, and they go down." As they helped Dr. Choi escape, an alarm sounded. The aliens had found the dead guards. "Run," Park ordered. They ran through the dark streets. Behind them, they heard the heavy steps of alien soldiers. Energy weapons fired, hitting buildings around them. They were almost to the tunnel entrance when a shot hit Jin in the leg. She fell with a cry. Park didn't hesitate. Even at his age, he was still strong. He lifted Jin onto his shoulder and kept running. They made it to the tunnel and closed the cover just as aliens ran past their hiding spot. Back at the cave, Dr. Choi treated Jin's wound. Then she showed everyone what she had learned. The Talons are hunters, but they hunt with technology, not natural skills, she explained. Without their weapons and armor, they are not as strong as they look. Can we use this? Lee asked Park. The old soldier smiled. It was not a nice smile. Oh yes, we can use this. Over the next few days, they made more strikes against the aliens. Small hits, but they added up. They cut power lines. They broke water pipes. They set more fires. The aliens became angry. They couldn't understand how a few weak humans could cause so much trouble. They didn't know that humans had been fighting wars since before they could write. They didn't know that an old human soldier had more real fighting experience than their entire hunting party. And they didn't know that humans, when pushed, can become the most dangerous animals of all. Sarah stood at the edge of the forest, her heart racing. The trees around her looked different now, darker, more mysterious. She had been walking for hours, and the sun was starting to go down. Her backpack felt heavy, and her feet were tired. Just then, she heard a sound. It was not like any sound she had heard before. A soft whisper, almost like a voice, but not quite. Sarah stopped and listened carefully. The wind moved through the trees, making the leaves shake and dance. Something caught her eye. A small bright light moved between the trees. At first, Sarah thought it might be a firefly. But this light was different. It was bigger and moved in a strange way. She blinked hard, wondering if her eyes were playing tricks on her. The light came closer. Sarah wanted to run, but her feet would not move. She was scared, but also very curious. What could this strange light be? Her mind raced with wild thoughts. Maybe it was magic. Maybe it was something from another world. Suddenly, the light stopped. It was just a few steps away from her. Sarah could see it clearly now. It was not a firefly. It was not a lamp. It was something she could not explain. The light seemed to have a shape, almost like a person, but made of pure light. "Who are you?" Sarah whispered. Her voice was shaky. The light did not answer, but it moved closer. Sarah could feel warmth coming from it. It was not scary anymore. It felt friendly and kind. She took a small step forward. Just then, her phone buzzed. The sound broke the magic of the moment. Sarah reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. A message from her mother. "Where are you? Are you safe?" When she looked up again, the light was gone. Only trees and shadows remained. Sarah looked around, wondering if she had imagined the whole thing. Her heart was still beating fast. She knew one thing for sure. Something strange was happening. This was not a normal day. This was not a normal journey. Something big was about to start. Sarah checked her map. She was still in the same place, but everything felt different. The forest seemed to be watching her. The trees looked like they had secrets. She took a deep breath and decided to keep moving. As the night started to fall, Sarah found a small clearing. She sat down and opened her backpack. She had some water and a little food. The forest was quiet now, but she could feel something was waiting. Something was going to happen. She pulled out a small notebook and started to write. Her hands were shaking a little. She wrote about the light, about the strange feeling in the forest. She knew no one would believe her story, but she knew what she had seen was real. The night grew darker. Sounds of the forest came alive. Crickets singing, leaves moving, small animals walking. Sarah wrapped herself in a warm jacket and looked up at the sky. Stars were coming out, bright and beautiful. She did not know what would happen next, but she was ready. Something told her that her real journey was just beginning. The shadows stopped moving. Sarah stood very still. Her heart was beating so fast that she could hear it in her ears. The green stone in her pocket felt hot now, almost burning. Suddenly, the shadow spoke, but it did not use words. It was more like thoughts that jumped into Sarah's mind. She could hear a voice, but not with her ears. The voice was inside her head. "You are the one," the shadow said. The words were not clear. They were more like feelings than real words. Sarah wanted to run, but her body would not move. She was frozen in place, looking at the strange dark shape. The forest around her seemed to hold its breath. No leaves moved, no birds sang. The green stone started to glow. Soft green light came from her pocket, pushing back against the dark shadow. Sarah could feel power coming from the stone. It was like the stone was alive and wanted to protect her. "Who are you?" Sarah asked again. Her voice was stronger this time. The shadow moved closer. It did not have a real shape. Sometimes it looked like a person. Sometimes it looked like smoke. Sometimes it looked like nothing at all. "A keeper," the shadow answered. "A watcher." Sarah did not understand, but she knew something important was happening. This was not a normal day. This was not a normal forest. Something big was about to change. The green stone jumped from her pocket. It floated in the air between Sarah and the shadow. Green light filled the space around them. The trees seemed to move, even though there was no wind. Memories started to come to Sarah. But they were not her own memories. They were old memories, memories from long ago. She saw great forests. She saw people fighting. She saw magic happening. The shadow watched her. "You remember now," it said. But Sarah did not really remember. These were like dreams, like pictures that did not make sense. She saw a woman with silver hair. She saw a big castle. She saw fighting with strange weapons. The green stone started to spin, faster and faster. Green light went everywhere. Sarah closed her eyes. The light was too bright. She could feel something changing around her. When she opened her eyes, everything was different. The forest looked the same, but not the same. Colors were brighter. Sounds were clearer. She could see things she could not see before. The shadow was still there. But now it looked different. Now Sarah could see it was not just a shadow. It was a person. An old person, wearing clothes from another time. "Welcome back," the old person said. Sarah did not understand. But she knew something big had changed. Her world was not the same anymore. Something magical had started. The green stone fell to the ground. It was not glowing now. It looked like a normal stone, but Sarah knew it was special. She knew she was special. In the distance, she heard a sound. Like a horn. Like a call. Something was coming. Something big was about to happen. Sarah took a deep breath. She was ready. Whatever was coming, she would face it. The forest watched her. The trees seemed to smile. Her real journey was just beginning. The old person standing before Sarah looked tired. His clothes were strange, made from materials Sarah had never seen before. They looked old but also new at the same time. The forest around them seemed to wait, holding its breath. "My name is Elias," the old person said. His voice was soft but strong. "You have been away for a very long time." Sarah did not understand. She looked at her hands. They looked the same, but something felt different. The world around her seemed changed. Colors were brighter. Sounds were clearer. Elias picked up the green stone from the ground. It did not glow anymore, but Sarah could feel its power. It was like the stone was sleeping, waiting for something to wake it up. "This forest is not what you think it is," Elias said. "This is not a normal place. This is a place between worlds." Sarah wanted to ask questions, but her words got stuck in her throat. Strange memories kept coming to her. Memories of fighting. Memories of magic. Memories of a place she did not remember. The trees around them started to move. Not because of wind. They moved by themselves. Branches bent. Roots twisted. The forest was alive. Sarah could feel its heartbeat. "You are a guardian," Elias told her. "You were hidden, protected, but now it is time to wake up." Sarah looked down at her clothes. They seemed different now, not the same clothes she had worn before. They looked older, more like the clothes Elias was wearing. In the distance, Sarah heard a sound, like a horn, like a call. Something was coming. Something big was about to happen. Elias held out the green stone. "Take it," he said. Sarah reached out. As her fingers touched the stone, memories crashed into her mind. She saw battles. She saw magic. She saw a world that was not this world. Pain and joy mixed together. The forest got darker, but not scary dark. Magic dark. The trees seemed to watch. The ground felt alive under her feet. Sarah could feel power coming from everywhere. "They are coming," Elias said. His voice was serious now. "The ones who want to destroy everything." Sarah did not fully understand, but she knew something important was happening. Her normal life was over. Something big was starting. More memories came. She saw a castle. She saw people fighting with strange weapons. She saw magic happening everywhere. These were not her memories, but they felt like they were. The green stone started to glow again. Soft green light came from it. The light touched the trees. The trees started to change. Their bark became stronger. Their leaves became brighter. "You must remember," Elias said. "You must wake up." Sarah felt power inside her. It was like something was opening. Like a door inside her mind was breaking open. She could feel magic. She could feel her real self coming back. The forest was not quiet anymore. Sounds came from everywhere. Animals moved. Trees whispered. Magic was everywhere. Sarah knew one thing. Her real journey was just beginning. Whatever was coming, she would be ready. The forest watched her. The trees seemed to smile. Something big was about to happen.